Hello ladies, welcome to Homemakers Radio. Please enjoy your housework, whatever you need to do, anything that's repetitive or a little tedious, while I give you something to listen to. I'm Mrs. Sherman, and if you are new here, please click on the description and the link below and view this video over on my blog where I have it on a post with some other things. And that way you'll be able to see what it's all about. I'm just making these for my blog to embellish it, and you may leave a comment there. I don't have comments on the channel, but if you would like to also leave a comment but really don't want to put it on Blogger, you can go over and find my email and email the comment to me and tell me it's a comment, and I will post it for you. Now, we usually have 3 sections of this, and that is we take care of our preparation, to get preparation for homemaking. Did you think that you were just going to stay home and just kind of lay around and just give it a bit of a sweep every now and then? Well, no, because this is more of a career than you will ever have, that you will ever know. And to start out with, I usually have a teacup, but today I don't have a teacup to show you, but I have a little footed glass here, a little goblet to show you. Now, I have a number of these. They're very fine crystal, and a lot of people get them at their weddings. I have a lime in it because I want to tell you that if you're having trouble drinking water, and you know you should drink, and you're home, you don't need to carry one of those ugly water bottles around. You can just pour it in a very nice goblet that you haven't used in a while, that might be just sitting in your china cabinet, and put a piece of lemon or lime in it for flavoring. You squeeze a little bit of the juice in it and sip on that. Now, when the children come, the little children, I always get these out because what else am I going to do with them? And you can't take them with you, so I let them drink out of these, and I put a little bit of water and some lemon or a piece of orange on the edge, a slice of orange, and that way they're very eager to drink it, and they just think it's so special and elegant. I wanted to show you that so that you could, if you have a problem getting enjoying drinking your water, then this is a good idea. I have several of those. Now, you notice I had a lime in it, and I have a pretty lime here today, and I thought I might just enjoy that lime to see what else I could think about this and really enjoy it, and I will smell it, and I think it's wonderful. But I started my art journal, and so my first picture, this is just watercolor, is my lime. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is cut it and try to paint the inside, a slice of the inside, that part there. So I'll be putting that right there. I thought you might like to know that. This is how, I'm also homeschooling you. I don't care how old you are. I'm a veteran homeschooler, and I know how to make a lesson just about out of anything. And I can make a lesson out of this lime. I can make a science lesson. I can make a nature studies lesson. I can make an agriculture lesson out of it. I can make an art lesson out of it, and I might be able to make a little poetry out of it. But so this is your first challenge, is to have something like that and paint a picture of it. Now, I still haven't learned the lettering yet. You're supposed to write about it. I'm not sure I can do that, but I wanted you to see that. Now, one of the things I thought of while I was getting ready this morning is you've got to have a goal, something to look forward to. It is hard, especially if you're living alone. I don't want to leave out the ladies that are alone, whether you're alone because you're very, very young, or whether you're alone because of other circumstances. It is hard to get motivated if you don't have anywhere to go. And many people that grew up in, quote, the system, got up in the morning to go to an institution such as a school or a place of work or employment, and that was motivation enough. But when you're at home, you have to have a different motivation. It has to be deeply spiritual. It has to be deeply artistic. It has to be deeply creative, and express a love of life. So when you go into the bathroom and you bathe and you get yourself all scrubbed up, and it's like starting out with a clean canvas. It's like starting out with a clean piece of paper, and you get to do artwork on it. And that means you get to dress. You get to put something on that's pretty, and that helps, that makes it, that embellishes it. And so it's also a motivation to be a human being, be a person, take care of your skin, take care of your hair, be careful what you wear. And I wish that there was a song you remember in the olden days in church. We used to sing, be careful little hands, be careful little eyes. And what about being careful with the way we look and how we take care of ourselves and how we take care of our bodies? The Bible does say to glorify God in your body. And I think a lot of people neglect it because they think it's vain, or they think that we think too much about it. But some of the most successful people in life spend an hour in the bathroom before they face the world. And I think if you possibly can, I understand if you've got immediate responsibilities on every waking moment, I understand that. But at one point in the day, you're going to have to go into the bathroom, bathe, and get yourself prepared for the day. You will find that your youth will be extended. You know, a lot of people worry about losing their health and losing their strength. There's something about getting ready and getting dressed that revives you. Now, I can't explain it. You'll just have to go and try it out for yourself. And I've often suggested you keep a little diary and compare 2 days. Compare the day where you just lounged around, didn't bother with yourself, and see how much you got done. Now, for myself, I could, at one stage in my life, get a lot done without even bothering with myself. I could wear my pajamas from one end of the day to the next, but as I got older, I found out that didn't work necessarily, that I would have to get dressed and I would have to have some dignity. It does give you dignity, and even if you are not seeing anybody, you've got to learn some self-respect too, because, you know, the Bible says love your neighbor as yourself. How can you show the kind of love Christ wants you to have for other people if you have no regard at all for the care of yourself, for the care of your body, for your health, or things like that? Now, speaking of health, I think that has a lot to do with preparation and getting ready too. And so I've already been up this morning. I woke up a little too early and didn't want to disturb the household, so I went into one of the rooms and shut the door and turned on my videos that I watch from Fabulous 50s and started one of her playlists. She has a new playlist, they're called challenges, and she has 3 separate exercises which amount to about 45 minutes in total, but you don't have to do them all at once. You can do them throughout the day. So I did some of those, and I have to explain a little bit about this because some people will exercise and lose a few pounds and then get stuck for a long time. Well, she has a video which I hope to include the link on the blog page, on the post, where she explains what to do when you get stuck. And one of the things that she says is you've got to vary up you can't do the same thing all the time every day. Otherwise your weight won't budge, your health won't change. You'll just be the same. So she tells you how to vary it, and also when is the best time to eat so that you will lose the most weight. And it's just so interesting, so I'll try to include that for you. If you're used to doing the same thing every day and you're not making any changes, you don't feel there are any changes in your health or your strength or even your weight, you won't need to listen to her talk about this in that video. Now, if you're really young and you're a teenager or you're in your 20s, go ahead and follow Fabulous 50s. Oh my goodness, you won't be able to keep up with her even if you're young. And then here's another thing that she says is the way that you can follow her exercises is you just do 2 or you just do 3. You don't try to keep up with everything, or you just do them a little more, like for every 2 or 3 she does, you do 1. And at least you do something. Now, a lot of people will write and say, well, I can't keep up with her. That's not for me. Look, what exercise lady is going to do a slow exercise just because someone can't keep up? They're going to at least pack as much as they can into that 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and then you choose which ones you want to do and how much you can withstand. There's a lot to it. Now, the other thing is for the exercising, most videos have music on it. Most of us don't like it, maybe the choices that they're using. Most of them have philosophies where they want to encourage you, and they'll say something you'll know it came from some source that you don't really like. And I have said I turn it off the volume and follow the exercises, but there's one problem with that. You'll have to know. You can't just move your arms around and say you've exercised. You've got to listen to her instructions, because she will tell you to stiffen your arms or pull your waistline close to your spine or tighten up the core of your body. You've got to know those things before you start, lifting your ankles and your knees and everything. You've got to know what the good health sense behind it is, and you'll have to listen to her instructions, so you will have to listen to some of the music. However, I've noticed that none of this bothers me as much as it has when I have had to go out. And as you know, I'm captive, and I would like to welcome all you captives today. My goal and my challenge to you is to come out of the other side of the captivity healthier, smarter, younger, more skilled, more able to survive, and kind of like I've described Joseph in Egypt, or Daniel in his diet, or anybody else, the Apostle Paul on the ship, using your knowledge and your skills and increasing your brain power on the other side. There's no reason we can't do that. And I've chosen a couple of things. At first, I started out with like 10 classes I would take online, and then I realized I'm not getting any work done around here. So I just narrowed it down to 2, and I have the exercise class and the art class that I like, and I learn other things. But the other challenge is to learn something new. Learn something that you didn't already know, and I'll tell you about some of the things I've been watching. That's another thing, is since I have been captive, I have a little bit more time to pursue looking at some things on videos that I hadn't previously. I'm not always catching up. I'm not always in a rush to catch up because I don't go out anymore, and have been here since July the 4th and enjoying every minute of it. Mr. S is enjoying taking over the grocery shopping. I pushed the cart for 40 years, and now he's pushing it. He's enjoying it. You know, men can't really buy very much with their money. You know, the stuff they want are, you know, expensive tools and cars and houses and trailers and all kinds of things that are expensive. And so to go to the grocery store, at least they get to put stuff in there they can actually buy. And I think some of them really enjoy. I've met some other women recently whose husbands are doing all of the grocery shopping, and it leaves us free to get the cleaning done and to pursue extra things, to get a little more rest, to really put an atmosphere in our homes that we want. So let's come out on the other side of this braver and smarter, more knowledgeable. And speaking of knowledge, I will go into housekeeping. I've got this broken up into 3 parts if you're new here, and that is your preparation, which be your appearance. Get ready to face the day at home. Get ready to do your work at home. And there's something about it, that about preparing yourself, that makes you feel professional, that makes you feel elegant. And that's really important, because that is what makes you less than mechanical. It's really putting feeling into it. It's really showing some kind of gratitude for it. And the other thing is the homemaking, and then I get into a few personal things about people and about other things. So I would like to start out with an unboxing. So when this is over, then you can go and listen as you go and do all the things you need to do. So I got a box from someone, and you know who you are. And I don't pay attention to the cost of the postage anymore, because this is a lady who doesn't want to give any money online, and so the postage is part of the gift, and I don't want to question that, because sometimes the gift is actually worth it. So the first thing I see is the cutest card. Of course, it has the darling barn on it. Here's a question for you. Why are barns in America painted red? I want to know that. And are they painted red in other countries? Was it just a cheap paint? Do the cows see color and go to the barn at night, or what? So there is a little gift tag she gave me that has a barn and I believe sheep in the front. Isn't that adorable? I'd like to frame that. That is really, it has a little verse on it. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above. Isn't that pretty? So that sets the atmosphere. And of course she has tissue paper covering it. That's always nice, you know, open up this tissue paper. It feels very festive. Okay, so I'm going to see what the first thing is, and it looks like a linen cloth with a picture of colonial women having tea in front of the hearth. And then she's tied it with another piece of, it looks like she's made a ribbon out of a piece of fabric. Isn't that nice? Let's see what it is. Let me see what it is. This looks like a piece of linen. love things like that that are red, but I want to see the linen first. I want you to see the linen piece first, the linen cloth. Isn't that pretty? That'll look all pretty, all pressed up. And then inside she has white chocolate raspberry tea. I'll be interested in sampling that. I'm going to just open it and smell it right now. If it can get it open. Yeah, it comes open. It has a little Ziploc thing here. It's wonderful. Reminds me of some of the first tea rooms that I ever went to. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, so I'll be using that. And of course, I'll save that and use it again, yes. And so let's see what else you put in here. Okay, this is interesting. Look at that pretty, what do you call that? Chiffon bow around it, and it's called rosehip oil. Now, this is for the face, hair, and body, for all hair, skin types, cruelty-free and vegan, bottled in the USA. So I don't know if that means it's made in the USA, it's just bottled in the USA. We like to get things made in the USA nowadays. And this is what it looks like. And I actually am going to love this. This is what that's what the oil looks like. It'll help my skin. I'm having a problem with my skin with blemishes, and especially peeling skin, and I inherited it because my father had peeling skin, and that would peel very easily. I don't know what it is. I've read a lot about it, and some of the descriptions are almost what I have, but I'm really looking forward to using this rosehip oil. You know, we had the wild rose in Alaska, and my mother would have us collect the rose hips in the autumn, and she would make a jelly, a jam and a jelly out of them, and a puree. Oh, she made rose hip syrups for our waffles and pancakes. Yes. So now let me look at the next thing that's coming out of here. What has she got here? Oh, another one of those interesting bows. It's so I don't know what do you want to call it. I really like it. It's very pretty. So let's see what this is. It looks like it's called peppermint leaf. I bet it's peppermint leaf tea. My goodness, that's a lot. That's like for a lifetime. Peppermint tea. So this is how you send a package to a friend, ladies. Now look at here. Isn't this nice? It's a table runner, like for a coffee table. I don't have a coffee table, but this would be really good on a mantle like the one behind me. And it's got that cut work. And it's a big flower, looks like a dahlia or sunflower. Isn't that nice? And it looks like it's linen. I love 100% something, you know, cotton, linen, natural. So let me see what else she's got here. Oops, it's another gift tied in one of these, I guess you would call a doily, but this is not the same. I forget what this crochet is called, you know, where it's all blocked off like that and tied with this cute ropey stuff. Oh, I love it. So I want to see what that is. I've forgotten what this is called. It's a special kind of crochet, and if you lay the cloth up against something, you can see the picture. Sometimes it's roses, sometimes it's something else. You can't really see this, can you? It might be butterflies, I don't know. I don't know if you can see that or not. Anyway, I'll use that. Let's see what she's got in here. It's called Hand and Body Lotion Cucumber Water. Isn't that nice? I love all this natural stuff. And then let's see what she's got put in the bottom here. Oh, she must be from the East Coast. Fish wrapper. Does anybody know about this little paper fish wrapper? And see the picture on the front, a cup of tea, and a publication of Little Mountain Printing, the fish wrapper. And it's online too if you want to go look at it. It's got household hints, 6 steps for keeping resolutions, and it looks like it's very wholesome, and it's got ads and things for the area. So thank you. I'm thrilled with all this. It's so nice to, and she knows that I'm not out. So she knows I'm not out and I don't go looking at products. I order online now, and I will show you some things. I'm ordering my groceries online now, and I want to show you the next box that comes, and I'll unbox it for you. And so some of you who are giving donations, you're buying my groceries, and I'm loving it. So thank you so much. So now I want to do a book review for you, and this book review is something that you all have. And so we're going to start with Genesis, and I'm going to review Genesis and Exodus just so you'll know what's in it. Okay, sometimes it's easier to read it if you know what's already in it. I always remembered years ago when I would want to read a book but I had no clue what was in it. Well, you can go to the back of the book and read maybe a little synopsis of it. So I think it'd be a lot easier on your children if you're homeschooling them, or if I'm homeschooling you, to know what's in it so that when you read it you kind of know what to expect. I do this sometimes when my children were home. If we were going to watch a movie of some kind, maybe some movie that depicted life in the Edwardian times or the Victorian times, I would tell them what the plot was so they could understand what they were seeing and not leave them to try to figure it out. So many times when I was a teenager, I would watch a movie and not even get it for like till I was 30 years old because no one actually told me and I couldn't connect the scenes. Some of the modern movies and plays online, the videos, are really bad about cutting away real quickly, and you don't quite can't quite sink your teeth into the scene, and so that was a confusion for some of us who are older now. So let's go with the book of Genesis. Okay, I believe that it has two meanings in it, and that's beginning and generations. So it covers the creation and the early people, and I'll just name a few of the people. Adam and Eve, Abraham and Sarah, Jacob, Isaac, Joseph, and the people of Israel. And Jacob's name was changed to Israel. But it doesn't just talk about these people with their names. Every one of them has a kind of a story with them, a backstory with them. So you'll want to know what that is. Now, years ago, we had a Bible study book someone introduced to us, which was a Bible. It had columns that were blank, and every time there was someone born, you would draw a little baby, and they showed you how to draw. It was just looked like a little baby in swaddling clothes. And every time someone died, you would draw a little tomb, and every time something was going to change, there was another symbol. I can't even remember what the program was, but I thought what a good idea that is. And it was such a long time ago. But Exodus comes next, so I'll give you a big little review of that and then compare the two books. Okay, so Exodus is Moses and his flight from Egypt into the wilderness, and the children of Israel who wanted to go out of slavery and speak and pray to their God. And so this Exodus is the Exodus out of Egypt for all of them, and also for Moses. And it's Moses and the burning bushes in there, and many other things. Just want to give you a brief. Now I'm going to show you a comparison. In Genesis, God spoke to individuals, and basically to the heads of families, and maybe to others. But then when we get to Exodus, God changed the way he spoke, and he spoke to the whole group, the whole people. And he gave Moses the 10 Commandments, and he also gave many other things for him to teach that he was to do to guide these people out of Egypt. If you recall, when they first went into Egypt, it was in Genesis, and it was when Joseph was kidnapped and taken to Egypt and sold into slavery, and he made a great success of his jail time, and he showed the Egyptians and Pharaoh how to survive when a famine came along, so that he was able to provide for his own family when they came looking for food. And the Pharaoh at the time favored Joseph and favored his people and invited them all to come and settle in the land of Goshen, where they lived for quite a while. But then another Pharaoh came along that didn't know Joseph, didn't know anything about him, and I suppose Joseph had probably passed away by then. He came along and he didn't favor the Hebrew people at all, and he began to notice that over there in the land of Goshen they were getting more numerous. They were multiplying, and he thought they'll overcome us, so he wanted to enslave them. And so they spent quite several generations being enslaved, and they knew nothing else till they came out of Egypt, and then they got in, and it goes into Exodus, and they had to learn a whole new way of life, because no longer would food be brought to them, no longer would they be making bricks. This was a nomadic lifestyle in a way, so it was very different, and God was with them every step of the way, telling them every little thing to do. So those are the two books I wanted to summarize for you today, and you can probably do your own research on that. Now let's go on from this to homemaking. That is so important. Now that you're dressed, now that I've given you your book review, you can go around and start working on something that needs to be done. I usually try to speak long enough that you could stay in, fix up one room, make a bed, change the bedding, or get your laundry done, or do your kitchen. If you're swift, you could probably do several things. And so the first thing I think that's important is not to lose heart in the home. It's very easy, especially if you're a captive like I am. You could probably be tempted to get very tired of looking at the same spaces all the time. But when you think of it, the home has so much potential and so many different spaces. When you think of all the things that you could do with nooks and crannies and corners, and you could create a library area, and you could even use the hall for something. There are so many things you can do, and I've told you about some of the things I've done by putting tea stations in every room or in hallways. I've even got one in the laundry room so that people won't get all bottlenecked in one place when they visit. And I do have a lot of, I'm supposed to be captive, but I got a lot of visitors. It's because they want to do what the Bible says and visit the captives. And so I let them come. So home is where you can create the kind of atmosphere that you want and that you love, and that's a way to keep from losing heart. Now, one of the ways that you can do that is just kind of look at it with an eye for improvement, and say to yourself, if I were a guest here, what would I like to see? What's the first thing I would like to see? What kind of comforts would I like? If this were a hotel and I was looking for somewhere to stay, what would I like it to be like? Or if this was a new house, that's another thing you can do, is you can treat it as though you've just moved in and arrange it the way you want it. And put the color, I think, is really important too, because it does determine your mood in many ways. And like I'm wearing yellow today because it's sunny and bright, and it's very, very gloomy out there, and there's no leaves on the trees. We're looking forward. We always just say the day after winter, spring is just around the corner, because we want to be optimistic. And so I'm wearing a spring dress. I'm tired of winter. So the other thing you can do is pray that God will enable you to focus on the tasks in front of you that help your family to function, that help you and your family to function. If you're having a bit of discouragement, turn to God at first instead of at last. Now I want to talk a little bit, try to insert to you people who are alone, because I think some of these things that I'm going to cover might be helpful. I don't know. I wish more people who live alone had blogs and videos to explain what this is like. But the hours between 4 and 5 are interesting. I noticed it one day when I was alone here. It is a time when the atmosphere changes. It's a time when the sun and everything change their position, and even the weather changes, and it becomes maybe a little bit more gloomy for some people. And so that's the time when you need to make sure you plan something, make an appointment with yourself to do something, and to have something that you enjoy doing at that time on purpose, because it's the opposite of see, at the end of the day, you can start getting discouraged. You look back and say, I wasted the day, I didn't do anything, and you're not happy. So that's when you have to save out something. You have to save something to do that you look forward to. And if you have children at home, this is important too, because they can be very affected by the time of day, because the light changes and the sounds change and even the weather changes. They can be very affected by it. This might be a good time for you to have your afternoon tea and have them look forward to that. And I had some of the grandchildren over not long ago, and so it was around 5 o'clock and 4 o'clock maybe. And so they asked me if they could get out the painting supplies and paint something. So I did. We sat around the table and they all got to paint something. And we didn't even know that it had grown dark because we were so absorbed in this. So self-improvement also, I did mention exercise on self-improvement. I can't think of anything else today, but maybe just get better at taking care of yourself. And self-improvement also involves learning something new. Now I have people that I make appointments with them on Zoom or on the phone, or even they come over and we teach each other something new. I'll teach something that I've learned and they'll teach me something they've learned. And I have a grandson that loves ancient history, so I'll be calling him for an ancient history lesson, something he knows that I don't know, and he can learn to teach that way. And then I have a granddaughter that likes to teach me how to make things, and she's into card making and scrapbooking, things like that. So I will be in touch with her. She's already sent me the kit that what we're going to make, and I'll be showing her how to do something from the way that we used to do things from the olden days on the homestead. So I'll be showing her some homestead crafts. So this is why it's so important to learn something new, because it keeps your mind active, and your mind is going to determine how you even take care of yourself. It's your mind, and it's a battle for your mind out there. Now, I'm not saying you can't listen to anything or read anything that has to do with current events, but you have to be careful not to have a steady diet of the type of current events that's always discouraging you. There has to be some that you can watch that will show you the bright side of everything and show you what's really going on. And so now I have also another thing that you can do if you're alone is you can start ordering things. Order something that you need or that you want and have it come to the door, and that will break up the time. That will break up the day. If you expect something on, like when I order this food, it comes on Wednesday, so I know that Wednesday is my food unpacking day. And you can order things, and it can be, when you go out, it's wonderful, it's stimulating, it's nice, you get to see all the products and everything, but you're still going to come home to an empty house if you're alone. But if you are alone and you order and you don't leave the house, you're not coming home you're not impressed so much with the bleakness of it. So if you order something and wait for it to come to the door, it's like having company. And so order yourself something nice that you like, and I think ordering is really, really good for you. Now, I want to also talk to you about some of the things that I have been learning that are new to me. I wanted to say one more thing about exercise. Choose an exercise program that is for a beginner and get started on it. You don't have to keep up with them, but just at least do it. And I wanted to tell you about a lady that I know that she was still in her 40s, and she always looked stressed, and her skin had lines in it, and she just was aging very quickly. She was under a tremendous amount of stress. And I saw her about a year later, and I couldn't believe the change in her. Her skin was smooth. It was glowing. She was happy. She had lost weight. She was just very, very balanced and stable. And I found out that she had been doing stretch exercises on a regular basis and had really gotten addicted to them. So she was doing them morning and at night. And it really, I could see it in her face. It gave her a great deal of relief. Sometimes stress, I think, might be caused by pinched nerves or just by being sedentary. And I saw such a change in her and in her complexion and everything. Her face was real smooth, and it had something to do, I'm sure, with the exercises that she was taking. And so if you are concerned about some of these physical things, you might be surprised at how much some of these exercises can help. And like I say, you have to listen to the instructions, because you can't just, turn your body this way and that way and think you've exercised, because they'll tell you, especially the one that I follow, she'll tell you what the rest of your body has to be doing. Do you have to tighten up your stomach muscles? Do you have to tighten up your arm muscles? What is it that you have to do? You can't just go and kick your feet around and think that, well, that's exercise, because there's a lot more to it. And these new exercises nowadays are done by people who understand physical therapy and understand how the body works and how one part of it affects the other. So I think it's really important to understand that. So now, the rest of the time that I'm going to be here, and this will probably be a shorter video, but you can click on continuous play, and then you can hear the one that came before. What I have been watching. Okay, I've had a little bit more time to relax, and although I'm still far behind on a lot of things, but I decided to you've already heard what some of these are, and one of them is the Montana Haven, and that is the couple with the children who they were from an Amish background, and they show all the things they do. They built a log house, and they left the Amish religion, but not some of the Amish customs. So they knew how to make things and build things, and they took a lot with them into their new life. And so I love watching her and him. And one of the things I recently watched that they had made was called A Quiet Amish Woman, and she tells a narrative, and her children apparently are filming this, and it's just beautiful. She tells a story about a quiet Amish woman, and I really enjoyed the narrative. And then in the end, they talk about what part their kids did to create the film. That's Montana Haven. Then the other one that I'm really enjoying is called Celebrating Appalachia. Now, you know how I like sayings, and how I like words, and how we're losing our figures of speech, and how this next generation, or even the current older generation, does not, especially news media, they do not understand hyperbole, they don't understand sarcasm or irony, they don't have to, they just will not accept it, and even Christ used figures of speech. And this is called Celebrating Appalachia, and the recent one that I watched with her was Appalachian Expressions, and really enjoyed it, and then realized that some of the Appalachia covers part of the eastern and almost going over towards the west, like North and South Carolina and Tennessee and some of those states there, and it's where the Appalachian Mountains are. And people could kind of hide out in those mountainous areas. And years ago, when we went through some of those places, people didn't have addresses. You just kind of knew where they were, and you knew what their last names were. And she had one recently celebrating Appalachia called the Appalachian Expressions, and one of them was one that I actually had heard growing up. And when I grew up in Alaska on the homestead back in the olden days, back in the 1950s, a lot of people came up there from the south, and there were different accents and different expressions. And one of the ones that was used there was, my mother, as you know, was a beautiful strawberry blonde redhead with freckles, and she had a beautiful smile. And those of you who have read my book, Just Breathing the Air, and will see a picture of her. And by the way, if you want that book, all you have to do is write to me, find my email and write to me. I'll tell you how to get that, and it is $38, which includes postage except for overseas. That's an extra $5. And so you need to write to me, ask me how to get it, and I will have it sent to you from the publisher, because I don't have these books. It was self-published. That means I published it myself, and I had to edit it myself, and I found a mistake in it the other day. Thought I really missed that one, but so then I will tell you, I will have one sent to you. It's on a disc, and it's published when I click send. So you'll get a nice fresh copy, and so I'll tell you how to do that, and if you want to email me, you can learn how to get that book. Now, so one of the expressions that I heard growing up, because she was this beautiful redhead, was, "Are you Irish?" And I always wondered what they meant by that. She seemed to understand what it meant, but it's just a slur or a short, quick word for Irish that kind of got lost in the accent of the Appalachians. Are you Irish? You know, you can say Irish so many times, and pretty soon you just shorten it to Irish. So that was just one of them. Now, that might mean something, that word might mean something else also, but that was one of the words that they used, and I thought it was just because they didn't know how to pronounce Irish, but that they did know how to pronounce Irish, but that's what they said. It's so interesting. So celebrating Appalachia, and then there's the other one that I'm really enjoying, and his name is Dan Sheekhoz, Sheekoz, and they're the Russian couple in Russia that wanted to learn English, so they started a video blog, and they're really fascinated with different places. They try to speak English on it, and I really enjoy watching him and her. And the other day they were making chocolate chip cookies, and he started the video out by saying, Susie and I are making chocolate chip cookies, and she corrected him right away, and she said, Susie's making chocolate chip cookies. And so they do it it's so cute because they're in a little apartment, and she does it like a cooking show, and it was just really enjoyable. And one of the things he enjoys, he learned a word in English that he loves, and it's called adorable. So when he first turns the video on, he says, hello, all you adorable followers, and he calls everybody adorable. He likes the word adorable, and I do too. I think it's lovely. And then the other one that I'm watching, now I don't know what the name, I don't know who does this, but it's a man who is former military, and he watches the flights on a screen of all the military flights that go in and out of the United States, and some of them not military flights, some of them are commercial flights, some of them are other types of airplanes, and he finds out where they are starting out, where they're going, and he knows some of them, he knows who they belong to, and some of them belong to politicians and other, celebrities, and he tracks these, and he does a video on them. And I don't know why I was attracted to that, but it came up while I was watching something else, and I wanted to learn something new. I wanted to expose myself to something new. So, and then the other one that I really like is train trips, and I particularly like the what's the one in Scotland called? Goodness, I can't think of what that one is, where they have tea on board, and they have entertainment, and it's called the Royal Scotsman, I think. So I really enjoyed that. So these are like self-improvement things that I want to keep my brain alive and watch. Besides all the homemaking that I have to do, I enjoy it. I particularly enjoy listening to some things that you don't have to watch, just listening to someone talk. And the one that I enjoyed the most was Celebrating Appalachia, because she did an interview where her husband interviewed her and asked her things like, where were you born, and what did you learn growing up, and what was it like to live in Appalachia, and what do you value the most? And I think that lasted about an hour, and I was able to get quite a bit done with that. And I could probably do that myself, but I didn't think mine was as interesting as hers was. So if you want to, I'll leave the names of these things if you want to go listen to these two or have a look. But everybody's different, and they have their own favorites. So then the other one I really liked, I had to quit watching him though because it got a little scary. It's called Ghost Town Living. Well, in America, when a town is abandoned, it's called a ghost town because there's nobody there. But he bought one, and it's between Las Vegas and Los Angeles, and it's a little town that just was abandoned. It had a hotel in it, and it had several other buildings and theater and some other things. And so he took his life savings and he bought this town, and he's improving it, and he's going to make it into some kind of a, you know, a little place that's worth visiting, and he's trying to find water, and it's so interesting. But every now and then he does something that scares me a little. He goes out for long walks in the desert and on his own, and it gets kind of tense. So I had to quit watching some of his, but I really enjoy seeing, because he's isolated, and he's living alone, and I kind of identify him because I'm in captivity too. So, you know, I've been in captivity since July the 4th, and I do not miss anything out there at all. I can go for drives, you know, out in the country, or just go out if I want to, but I don't go to anything commercial, and I don't miss it at all. I don't miss the noise. I don't miss just having to unwind after I get home, and feeling sort of icky after I get home. All the noise and all the stuff, all the crowd, and trying to find a parking place and all that. I don't miss that. And the gas sits in my car for a month, and I don't have to keep buying more petrol. And so, ladies, I hope that you have enjoyed this, and I wish that I had more for you today, but I hope that I did enough that you could get something done. Maybe you got your bed made. Maybe you got the dishwasher loaded, and or maybe you just made your list, or maybe you just got ready. So, ladies, I really appreciate you coming here. I'm just honored that you came. If you didn't come, I wouldn't be here. I'm not going to come unless there's someone that's interested. And I do, however, I am leaving it for my people, and my as a record for my grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So it isn't just for you, but it does motivate me knowing that you come. And so I want to thank you for that. And if you could leave a comment on the post, I would appreciate that, and or email me your comment, and tell me what all that you got done during this, what is it, 45 minutes now. And I wish I had 10 more minutes worth of stuff, but I don't. And so, ladies, I hope you know, if it's dreary out there and you're feeling discouraged, if you'll just go do that one thing, I'll give you 2 challenges. Go get dressed and look beautiful. Scrub up and look nice. And then do one other thing that makes your house a place you'd like to come home to. Do one thing as though you were expecting someone, or as though you were going to do a house showing, or just do one thing, one other thing besides getting dressed. And doesn't matter, just ignore the weather. It could be too hot or too cold. Don't depend on the weather, and don't depend on the news. They're just never going to let us enjoy ourselves, are they? They're just never going to leave us alone. They're always going to have us upset about something. And do what you can to make life in the home, in this little bubble, make it, you know, I've just been accused of living in a bubble, and you're living in a dream world. Make that dream world really nice and enjoy yourself. And start yourself a little art journal if you want to. You don't have to know how to do it. You don't have to be talented. And do something to make the life that you live every day at home have meaning. So God bless you all, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.